Welcome to our Insight series on organizational well-being. Our question for this week is, how should our program goals be used to evaluate our employee wellness program? Number 35. In answering this question about our program goals being used to evaluate the overall program, the first point is that we want to start with 7 to 12 fairly clear, updated, and well-balanced goals for your wellness program. And that means that it covers issues such as both the achievements and things that you want to introduce, as well as programming options and organizational changes that you might want to put into those goals. But they are generally goals, generally don't have measurable, time-limited elements to them. So they are generally statements of direction for our wellness programs. But you need to have those goals, and it's best to have them prioritized so that you can, in fact, know what senior management really wants from the wellness effort. Secondly, you want your program goals can then be used as key evaluation measures. And you want to start with the goal that is your program's number one priority. If you don't have prioritized goals, and there we talked about in previous videos how to get your goals prioritized. But if you don't have prioritized goals, then you're going to essentially pick the goals that you think are the most important to management. Even though they haven't perhaps given you a stack ranking or any kind of prioritization of those goals. So that's what we want to start with. And we're going to look at a first example of that. And we're going to take your top goal, number one, and the goal might be stated something such as follows: to produce tangible improvements in our employees' health. So that's a general goal that you'll find in lots of wellness programs. The next thing we want to do is to achieve or put together and create an objective around this goal that is time limited, and we are able to measure specifically using quantitative methods the occurrence or the completion of that objective, the degree to which it is accomplished. And in this case, our example would be to create at least a 5% improvement in at least 7 measures from our health risk assessment and screening process. So that's translating this particular goal into a measurable objective. And then our next step is usually to identify what is the metric we are going to collect to be able to actually validate and measure or evaluate our objective. And a metric example for this particular top goal would be using cohort analysis. And that just means that we look at people that have completed the screening last year and compare their results this year. That's called a cohort. And when we do the analysis of the cohort, we're essentially looking at the same people with the same issues, same timing a year later. And then we want to use that cohort analysis process to document a minimum of a 5% improvement in, again, at least 7 measures. There are about 20 measures that can be used in most HRAs and screening activities that will help determine what kind of improvements and tangible improvements the program has been able to help people achieve. A fourth point, and here's where we're going to go to a second example of this same process. Getting this process down is important because then you can take your goals and actually create what's called a goal-based approach to evaluating your program. Our next goal, number 2, the second most important, is to reduce the rate of growth of total routine employee health plan costs this year. So that's our general direction. We want to reduce those costs. Our objective for this goal would be something like this: to keep next year's growth rate for routine health claims cost below 2%. So I have a measurable element. I have a time limitation attached to it. And that's what makes my objective useful for evaluating this goal. And a metric that we might use to actually evaluate this objective would be measuring the average percent growth in routine health claims cost minus catastrophic claims costs. And there, we don't want to burden the wellness program with an expectation that the wellness program is going to reduce things like spinal cord injuries, severe automobile injuries, experimental cancer cases, premature infants, severe burns, or any other type of catastrophic illness. So what we can do is use a methodology where we use what's called the individual stop loss attachment point that is used with the self-insuring of employee health benefits. And that particular attachment point might be at 75,000 or 100,000. And that's where we essentially are reinsuring the catastrophic costs beyond that attachment point. And that's the methodology that we recommend for you to use to get to routine health claims costs. We really are approaching and attempting to change routine health cost with our wellness programs. And we'll deal with that in much more depth in future videos. Now, the fifth point is to share with you a third example. And this is where we're really drilling down into our third most important goal. And that goal might be something like to enhance overall employee productivity. Pretty typical goal for wellness programs. The objective form of that is to have at least 2/3 of our surveyed employees indicate on a survey that they are more productive due to participating in the employee wellness program. And that's just a form of a question that people then use, usually a Likert scale, that's strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. And then we add up, for instance, if the question was asked in a positive framework, we'd look at how many people agree or strongly agree with the statement that the employee wellness program has helped me be more productive at work. So we're using simple, standardized types of questions from survey instruments developed by social scientists to actually get at this particular issue. The metric that we would choose would be using a standardized annual survey instrument, provide a question on the perceived productivity using a Likert scale. So that would be an example, again, of how to use your program goals to evaluate your employee wellness program. Our last point is that you then can combine these goal-based evaluation activities. So you can put these together for senior management and even put them into an executive summary report and with other aspects of your program evaluation. Next week, we'll be looking at what are those other key aspects of a good evaluation of your wellness program. And I'd like to underscore that a good evaluation of your wellness program is your way of building the support and the ability to have sufficient budget for your program and sufficient attention by senior management on the program and supporting it with employees. Those are important things. Now, in summary, your program's goals can be used to help structure your program evaluation and provide senior management with very tangible proofs of the program's impact and value. And that's what allows us to build our program over time and to expand it and to have it have better effects and more effectiveness with the health of our employees. Now, for more information on this topic, try putting the following search strings into your web browser. Use of prioritized goals in program evaluation, use of goals, objectives, and metrics in wellness programs, and goal-based program evaluation. Next week, we will be addressing the question, what are other key aspects of evaluating your employee wellness program? For more information on this topic, please search on the web for the WellCert program.